There's a new inside linebacker now available in the free agent market. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers be interested? Also, Steeler players are putting in the work already, getting ready for 2023 as videos have been surfacing online. All that and more, Big Deke News. For those of you that don't know, the LA Rams released future Hall of Fame linebacker Bobby Wagner yesterday, and it's reported that both parties mutually agreed to part ways, although one of those parties, namely Bobby Wagner, doesn't seem to agree with that statement. Either way, you now have an 8-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, prior Super Bowl champion, inside linebacker now available to any team in the league. So, with some of our inside linebacker struggles over the last several years, I think many people are wondering, should the Steelers be interested? Should the Steelers sign Bobby Wagner? I think the case for bringing in Bobby Wagner is pretty simple and easy. He can still play football even though he's getting up there in age. He's going to be 33 this upcoming season. But last year had 140 tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, had 5 pass deflections. And this was all being out there with that decimated Rams defense that didn't have Aaron Donald for like half the year. PFF even graded Bobby Wagner. Now you could take this with a grain of salt because we know how PFF is. But they had him as the highest graded off-ball linebacker last season. If we end up signing him, I'm going to take that to the bank and say, yeah, he can still play ball. If we don't sign him, this is just something that you could forget about. But there are also 2 other factors at play that could get you making the eye look emoji and saying, I wonder if this could actually happen. One is we brought over one of Bobby Wagner's former coaches over in Seattle, and Aaron Curry, so there's a connection right there. Also, it is reported that the Steelers were actually interested in Aaron Curry dating back to last year. We didn't bring him in, though, and the contract and the money amount that Wagner was looking for is probably why, and that's usually the problem with these free agent signings and whether or not the Steelers can bring him in. What's the number? Does it make sense for the organization, too? So last year, Bobby Wagner signed for, on average, $10 million per year. It was a multi-year deal. Yeah, doesn't really make too much sense for Pittsburgh. But right now, coming off of getting cut by the Rams, he's another year older. What is his market? I'm saying like 7 or 8. If we can get Wagner in here for a 1 or 2 year deal, averaging 7 or 8 million per, why not? Because I compare Bobby Wagner, and we were talking about this a lot on the podcast yesterday, to like a Levante David. That's all you're looking for either one of those guys. Just a stopgap dude. Pair him up with Miles Jack here. Maybe you got a Mark Robinson. They could learn under these all-pro, Pro Bowl type of linebackers. So that makes sense. It just doesn't screw up your contract or cap hits in the long term. But they could be still very effective players. They could bring the veteran presence, all that stuff that I talked about at the beginning. So, yeah, if you can bring in a Bobby Wagner, there's a mutual interest there. 1 year, 2 year deal, averaging $7 million per. I'm for it, but anything higher, if he's still looking for like a 3 or 4 year deal, I'm a pass on that. The other question to me is, can we actually afford it? I know we can if we can finagle numbers and everything, but I go back to our first priority for the Steelers should just be to bring the guys back in-house. A Cam Sutton, a Larry Ogunjobi. Like, I would rather focus on the secondary and the D-line before I address inside linebackers. So, if we can do all that, if we could bring in an Ogunjobi, if we could bring back a Cam Sutton, bring back a Terrell Edmunds, and we still have some money left over, or if we could do a little restructure here or there, and it would open up some room for a Bobby Wagner or a Levante David, then I think it's a no-brainer. But outside of that, I don't want to bring in a dude unless... Probably the only splash move that I really would want to make is a Jalen Ramsey. I wouldn't want to do, an inside linebacker type of splash move or like a Taylor Lewan or left tackle, an offensive line splash move if it's at the expense of bringing back those dudes in-house. But before I sign off, there are some social media videos surfacing of not only just Kenny Pickett putting in the work this offseason, but basically the whole crew on offense. You also have backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky in the fold. The whole receiver core is there. Pickens, Deontay, Calvin Austin III, Steven Sims, Gunner. I think even Cody White's down there. There was a Connor Hayward sighting. So that's all going on down in Florida right now. So, it's not really that eventful. It's just good to see the team putting in some work in the offseason, getting ready for 2023. I don't think anyone out here is complaining about hard work, right? But the one thing I do take away from this is Mitch. That's good to see, man. It's good to see that he's a team guy. We still don't know what his future is with the team. Obviously, things didn't work out for him this last season. He was the starter, ended up getting benched. Kenny Pickett took over. He's obviously going to be our franchise guy. But for Mitch to be there and potentially even hosting it, because this is down in Florida, I think that says something. I think it says something about his character. Mitch Trubisky, big team guy. Respect, man. Respect. I think I've gained more and more respect for Mitch as time has gone on since he got benched. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers performance where he had to come in the second half and was absolutely lights out. Didn't blink at all against Tom Brady. Baltimore Ravens game, I know the 3 interceptions were inexcusable, but you could go back a couple months ago whenever I was talking about it then. I still viewed that performance by Mitch in a somewhat positive light just because of all the chances he was taking down the field. And he was throwing some really good passes, really, really good dots that make you see why he was drafted number 2 overall back in, 2017, 2018. But then you have the Carolina Panthers game where he had to come in. Kenny Pickett had to sit out with a concussion and did everything you needed to do to get out of that stadium with a win. Very efficient, had a really good connection with Deontay Johnson. And now you have this where, his future's still uncertain with the Steelers, but he's still getting together with the team, working, training, getting ready for the season. So respect right there. Let me know what you guys think of this Bobby Wagner move. Should the Steelers be interested? But also what you think of the offense getting together, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, the receiving core down in Florida. But hope you guys enjoyed this edition of Big Deke News on a Friday. Stay chilling and peace.